We made this.
Welcome, Gothamites. This is Gotham U, also Gotham University. It is a podcast for all things Batman. Everything from TV shows, movies, comics, video games, cosplay, books, etc. Jason Melendez here, your host, alongside Mikey Slamer. Michael, how are you?
Jason, I'm doing well, man. I kept thinking about merchandising when you were doing your little speech about talking about everything. Oh man, it really is like that. I kept thinking about like all those collectibles and the toys and stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, how you go far back all the way to the 60s where, toys became the huge thing for a franchise like Batman. So we're going to do the same thing in a more digitalized era where we can promote the crap out of them and then some.
Well, hopefully they'll sponsor us too.
And we hope to God they sponsor us because, all that Bat money. And
give me the Bat money.
If you guys are out there listening, thank you. We will be plugging the crap out of our socials. We will be adding so much content here for you guys to listen to. Whatever piques your interest, we will gladly oblige. We are part of the We Made This network. Mike, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the We Made This podcast network is a pretty cool collection of podcasts ranging from TV, film, movies, pop culture, music. It really does seem like there's a little something for everyone on the network. And I have a podcast called We Are Starfleet. If you know me, you know I'm a big Star Trek fan, and that podcast covers all things Star Trek Discovery and Trekkie-related type, little fun tidbits and factoids and episode breaks. And that's co-hosted with my buddy Ian, and we talk to a selection of Trekkie guests from around the world, and it's all on the network. You can find that. And there's also Podcast 616, which recently launched. That's going over all things WandaVision right now. Really cool stuff. I'm actually kind of on a blackout for WandaVision right now. I've been avoiding all spoilers and everything because my wife and I are doing a rewatch of all the Marvel films to lead up into it. And we've got to get to it. But yeah, man, we joined the We Made This network to do more content, longer episodes, and to just be a part of something great.
Yeah, and we really do hope that you guys tune in for the entire journey because there is a lot of stuff that there is to talk about. I mean, we can go right into the old school comics, discuss my favorite comic book, Mike's favorite comic book, and I'm sure you guys all out there who are listening have your own favorite comics as well. Things from the 60s eras, things from the 80s, the 90s, and even new stuff that's being released today. Also, we have movies, everything from the 60s Adam West version, the Keaton era, the Schumacher era that we all try to forget once in a while.
I can't wait to start talking about that kind of stuff, man.
Which one?
There's so much great content. And when it comes to the film reboots, Jay, can you help me understand, why the heck does Warner Brothers and DC just keep making the same Batman stories over and over and over again? Like, you have, decades worth of comics and stories to tell, but they keep going back to, the Batman origin story. Come on, give me a break. Give me new stuff.
How Warner Brothers sees it is don't fix what isn't broken. And they know that Batman is their cash cow. Yes, Superman is a fantastic story. Yes, Wonder Woman is a fantastic story. But when it comes down to it, people pay big money to see The Dark Knight and his entire mythology. His villains, his rogue galleries, his sidekicks, his family, his history. It just doesn't fail as long as you stick to the basics. So that's why Warner Brothers really keeps going back to it, is because it hasn't failed. So why fix it,
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to start getting into a lot of the stuff with you. That's exactly what this podcast is all about, right?
it doesn't even matter what era you were watching Batman. I mean, whether it was the older stuff or the newer stuff, and it doesn't even matter what age you were in either, whether you were a kid, whether you were a teenager or an adult, you had something to gravitate towards. There was something about his character, his pain, his whole life, his story that just gravitated towards you. And even if you were doing it for the superficial stuff, like the Batmobile or the gadgets, you loved it. You just wanted to be a part of that life, minus the tragedy part. But it was all just something that anyone could be a part of. And actually, Christian Bale's version in The Dark Knight Rises, he even said that anyone can be Batman. So in a way, we all kind of want to be Batman because we can. He's human. He's not a god. He's not some mutant from a different universe. He's us in a way.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
And also, you can't fail on, I'm sure people loved the Batmobile of different eras. People loved the different villains. I know we're going to talk a lot about the Joker. He's one of my favorite villains of all time. Every franchise out there, he'll be by far my favorite. I mean, you can't look past one of the most villainous characters in all of TV, movie, comic books, video games, and not bring up the Joker in some way. And actually, one of the episodes I would love to get into is the psychology of all the villains, especially his.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, it'd be great if we could get a hold of like a psychologist who maybe specializes in looking at comic book type, media type characters and bring them on. That would be a killer potential guest episode.
I would love that, dude. Oh my god! Like one of my biggest missed opportunities was that I should have gone to college because the one thing I wanted to study more than anything was criminal psychology, and the only reason why I wanted to get into criminal psychology is because of Batman's entire rogue gallery. You have people on there with split personality disorder, manic depression, schizophrenia, narcissism. It's all out there in that collection of villains, and they're out there in the real world. And it was just so fascinating to see that in the form of comic characters.
Well, hey man, it's never too late.
Hopefully. Maybe one day.
But
until then, if you're out there listening, hit us up. We want to talk to you and pick your brains.
Yeah, if you guys happen to know any criminal psychologists, drop us a line. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Gotham U Pod.
And one thing that we will be getting into almost immediately, like when we hit the ground, we're going to run right into probably the most talked about movie right now in 2021, which is the Snyder cut of Justice League, and how this has been about 4 years in the making after seeing what Joss Whedon gave us in 2017.
Yeah, I can't wait to pick your brain on that.
There is a lot in this brain to pick on when it comes to that story, because there was a lot of drama going into that movie, and even to this very day, there was a ton of just backlash going into this. It makes you wonder, if you hadn't already, just how greedy Warner Brothers really was just to set this movie out there. Like, there was zero care for them. They just wanted profits and bonuses. It was kind of disturbing, but also kind of beautiful in a way, in some twisted way, because it brought a lot of people together on the internet and all over the geekdom that wanted the movie the way it was supposed to be delivered, and we're finally going to get it. That's why this movie is such a big deal. Not just for the fact that it's a comic book movie or that it's a huge super group team up, but that it's something that the fans asked, they demanded, and they got out of it. And that's something that you don't really get these days. A lot of silence culture, cancel culture. This is the first time where cancel culture is uncanceling something.
I like that. I over on there, We Are Starfleet, I had asked a recent guest, about his opinion on whether or not maybe the fans have almost too much power, because because fandoms can now drive stories and drive these studios to make specific decisions that maybe the writers and producers otherwise would not have. Like the finger on the pulse of social media is just so prevalent nowadays. And if you're not doing what, quote, the people, unquote, want, then, they could potentially derail your whole production. Or in the case of the Snyder Cut, put it back on the rails.
It's a very delicate responsibility. And not to take a Marvel quote away, but with great power does come great responsibility.
Sure.
And that is true in this case because, you could make, like you said, fans now can make or break the momentum of a huge franchise. And, this movie is a perfect example of that. I mean, had it not been for their movement, there would be no Zack Snyder's Justice League. And who knows what's going to happen in the future after that. If this movie is a success, we might get a whole lot more content, all because of the rise of fandom.
Yeah. Amazing. Jay, thank you so much for walking me through what to expect. I can't wait to hear more.
And I cannot wait to tell more. We're going to have a good time, I think, with all this information that's out there in the world. There's a ton of material out there that's just waiting to be disclosed. Things from the past, things from the present. We have things in the future that's just going to get released. And we'll have a good time talking about it. And we'll hope to have a whole bunch of guests throughout the way to kind of help us unravel this journey.
Absolutely. We're going to be releasing episodes on a semi-regular bi-weekly basis, so keep your eyes peeled to all podcasting platforms for more of that.
Absolutely. Keep in mind that we are going to be posting a lot on Instagram, on Twitter. Our next episode, I believe, is, if we do this on a bi-weekly basis starting today, would be March 4th, and maybe we'll talk about the Snyder Cut then, because then I think the week after that, or the show after that, is going to be the release of Justice League.
Boom.
And I don't know about you, Mike, but I know all day for me, that's just going to be nothing but Justice League. I mean, I'll be watching actually the entire Snyderverse movie era. We're going to go from Man of Steel, then Batman v Superman, and then that 4-hour-long Justice League movie, which means very few bathroom breaks, or maybe a lot of bathroom breaks. It depends on how much soda I'm going to be drinking the entire day.
That is a brave task that you have set out for yourself, and I wish you only the best on your journey to marathon the Snyderverse. It's funny because I remember we had discussed at one point Justice League and the Snyder Cut, and I kept getting it confused because I thought they were two separate films. Because now it's so prevalent to talk about the Snyder Cut specifically.
I remember that. You were thinking, like, wait a second, I thought there were two separate films. And I was like, nah, dude, it's one. And on that very note, you guys, please like, subscribe, share, Gotham U Pod. Find us on Instagram. Find us on Twitter. And we made this for this opportunity and for many more.
Very well said. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Elsewhere on We Made This. Between the Notes.
So we've got another Netflix series and accompanying score, The Queen's Gambit by Carlos Rafael Rivera. Did you watch this over Christmas? Did you see it?
Well, funnily enough, I had... at the start of last week, I had 2 days where I was working from home before I was going into a whole new job. And because I thought I was going to be working from home a lot more than I am, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to watch The Queen's Gambit in one day. So that's what I did. Yeah. I watched all 7 episodes of The Queen's Gambit in one morning and afternoon. So yes, I have seen it.
And it's sublime, isn't it? It's a really, really good. So I'm saying that. I'm assuming. Did you think that as well?
No. I thought it was incredible. Sorry.
Shipwrecked and Comatose, a Red Dwarf podcast.
So with my track record, have you worked out where I'm going with this?
I have now, yeah.
Have now?
Would Would it feel different if you had a wank?
Probably. But the thing is, as well, it might be different. It might be different even with the left-hander and the left-hander.
True.
Different pace. It's different pace.
Yeah, and also, it's a different cock. I hadn't thought that.
Speaking of that, Chris Barry looks down. Well, not Rimmer looks down, doesn't he? At some point.
Yes, he does.
We dig music.
I am amazed this made top 10.
It's really good.
I really am.
I do not remember what
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is like at all. My only comment when I was actually listening to it is bit nothingy.
I think it's really good, although it does suspiciously sound a lot like Sting's Shape of My Heart.
What?
It really does. The guitar melody is very much like it. It's got
Fuck you.
beautiful guitar and vocal.
Fuck you, Ian.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.